Greetings from the Buckeye State, Justin Yarnell, federal tax attorney. So today I want to talk about substantiation or books and records, okay? So the first thing is that, taxpayers for federal income tax purposes, and it's likely true at various of the state levels as well, okay? The taxpayer has the burden of proof. Okay, and so what does that mean? It means if the IRS comes in and audits your tax return and they say, oh, we're going to disallow this expense, it's not deductible, you didn't really pay the money, you don't get a deduction for that activity, it's not a business activity, whatever the case is, okay, if they were to come in and say that, it's your burden as the taxpayer to prove you're entitled to the deduction, okay? And so the way you do that, or one of the ways you do that, is with books and records, substantiating the expenses with, like invoices, bank statements, canceled checks, contracts. There are various ways you can substantiate an expense that was paid, okay? And maybe it's all of the above, or if the argument is that it was not a business expense and therefore it's not deductible under Section 162 because it's not ordinary and necessary to your trade or business, or maybe they call your business a hobby under Section 183, and so under Section 183 they're going to tax you on the income from your hobby, but they're going to disallow your expenses from the hobby because it's not a trade or business. It could be a million different things, but the point is still true. Okay, you have the burden of proving you're entitled to that deduction. Okay, and so in the case of 162 and 183, it's going to be substantiation plus, argument about the facts, maybe the citation of case law where the tax court applied facts similar to yours, and the taxpayer had a favorable result. In any case, okay, my question for you to consider is, what records do you think are sufficient for proving an expense? If a statute says, a taxpayer should maintain books and records, okay, what do you think is bare minimum? What do you think is required? What do you think is good enough? Okay, we certainly shouldn't have to give the IRS or the state tax administration everything, right? That would be too much of a burden on taxpayers. So my question for you is, what is good enough? What do you think? Write it in the comments below.